There is a photograph taken in 1924 inside a newly excavated Egyptian tomb near Luxor. In it, archaeologists stand frozen, not looking at the gold, not looking at the hieroglyphs on the walls, but staring at something in the corner of the room. A perfectly preserved cat, sitting upright as if it had been placed there that morning. No decay, no deterioration, just sitting. The archaeologist who led that excavation, a man named Harold Vance, wrote a single line in his journal that night. He wrote, "They knew something about this animal that we do not." That journal was donated to a private collection in London in 1931. It has not been seen since. What Harold Vance saw in that tomb, and what he suspected about the ancient Egyptians and their relationship with cats, is exactly what a team of neuroscientists at the University of Helsinki confirmed in 2019. And when their findings were published, they were buried on page 47 of a scientific journal that almost nobody reads. Every historian will tell you the ancient Egyptians worshipped cats because of religion, because of the goddess Bastet, because of mythology and ritual and culture. That is the version they teach in schools. That is the version written in every textbook. But here is what those textbooks leave out. The Egyptians were not a superstitious people. They were engineers who built structures we still cannot fully replicate. They were astronomers who tracked celestial cycles with accuracy that rivaled modern equipment. They were physicians who performed surgeries described in papyri that modern doctors have called surprisingly advanced. These were not people who worshipped things without reason. So when they elevated the cat above every other animal, above dogs, above horses, above even the animals they used for food and work, the question no historian has properly answered is, why specifically the cat? What did they observe in this animal that made it not just useful, not just companion, but sacred? The answer has nothing to do with religion.
It has everything to do with what cats can perceive that humans cannot. There are 47 known papyri recovered from Egypt between 1880 and 1960 that reference cats directly. Of those 47, only 12 have been fully translated and published. The remaining 35 sit in museum archives in Cairo, London, and Berlin. 3 researchers who requested access to the untranslated papyri between 1998 and 2011 were told the documents were too fragile for handling. One of them, a linguist named Dr. Amara Osei, managed to photograph partial sections of one papyrus before access was revoked. What she photographed described cats as creatures that exist between states of awareness. The original Egyptian term used translates loosely as watchers of the space between. Not guardians, not hunters, watchers of a space that the text implies is not entirely physical. For years, this was dismissed as mythology, as poetic religious language, until a neurological study in 2019 found something in a cat's brain that nobody expected. In 2019, a research team at the University of Helsinki was conducting a broad study on animal sensory perception. They were not studying cats specifically. Cats were included as a control group, meaning they were the standard, the baseline, the animal expected to show normal results. What they found instead stopped the study entirely for 11 days.
A cat's brain contains a structure in its sensory processing cortex that activates in response to stimuli that the researchers could not identify. It was not sound. It was not light. It was not smell or touch or any measurable physical input. The structure activated consistently and measurably in response to nothing the instruments in the room could detect. They ran the experiment 34 times across 28 different cats. Every single time, the same result. The lead researcher on that study, Dr. Petra Lane, described it in her notes as a response to a sensory channel we do not yet have instruments to measure. The study was published with that finding noted in a single paragraph. No follow-up study was ever funded. When journalists requested interviews with Dr. Lane in 2021, her university stated she had moved to private research.
No further details were provided. Here is where it connects directly to what the Egyptians recorded 3,000 years ago. Ancient Egyptian texts describe cats consistently reacting to empty spaces in rooms, to doorways with nothing visible in them, to corners where no person or animal stood. The texts do not describe this as unusual. They describe it as the cat doing its function, as if this awareness of invisible space was the entire reason the animal was kept. Not for rats, not for companionship, for this specific behavior. In 2022, a behavioral study published in the Journal of Comparative Psychology documented that domestic cats across 14 countries consistently orient their bodies toward locations in rooms where no visible stimulus exists. The study noted the behavior occurs most frequently between the hours of 2 a.m. and 4 a.m. The study called it unexplained orienting behavior. It offered no conclusion. It simply documented that the behavior exists, is consistent across all breeds and geographies,
and has no currently accepted scientific explanation. The ancient Egyptians documented the exact same behavior. They just did not call it unexplained. They called it the reason. Go back to that tomb in Luxor, the one Harold Vance entered in 1924. Cats were not simply kept as pets in ancient Egypt. They were placed in specific locations, at doorways, at the entrances to burial chambers, at the corners of rooms where the living slept. Not randomly, specifically. The placement follows a pattern that researchers in 2017 mapped across 23 different excavated Egyptian sites and found to be consistent. Cats were always positioned at threshold points, at boundaries between spaces. The ancient Egyptian understanding was not that cats protected against physical threats. It was that cats monitored the boundary between what is present and what is not, between what is seen and what is not. They did not build temples to cats because they were afraid of them. They built temples because they had spent generations observing this animal and concluded that it perceived something real that humans did not have the capacity to access. And in 2019, a Finnish neuroscience team found a brain structure that activates in response to an unidentified sensory input in a control group animal that they were not even studying. Harold Vance wrote one line in his journal in 1924. They knew something about this animal that we do not. 3,000 years of Egyptian observation, 47 papyri, 35 of them still locked away. A neuroscience study buried on page 47, a behavioral pattern documented across 14 countries with no accepted explanation, a lead researcher who moved to private work and stopped giving interviews. The ancient Egyptians did not worship cats because of mythology. They worshipped them because they watched them, carefully, for centuries, and concluded that this small animal was perceiving a layer of reality that human beings could not see. Modern science in 2019 found the neurological evidence that something in a cat's brain responds to exactly that. What that something is, what it is perceiving, what the Egyptians called the space between? That question has not been answered. It has simply stopped being asked.